What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today's video was inspired by one of my subscribers and a friend of mine. Yesterday, he told me that I should do a video basically on the power of words, verbiage behind the walls. And I think I may have done a video similar to this a while back, years ago. But let me tell you something that tripped me out last night. So last night I happened to be scrolling and I was looking through another platform, right? And it was IG. And so, IG shows a lot of stuff that you can't show on TikTok or here, right? Mainly it's the fights. I watch a lot of the fights, the street fights that break out, right? And something stood out to me. Every fight that I saw last night that popped up on my phone, every fight that was between guys that were not black, they called each other the N-word. What's up? Whoa, whoa. What's up? What you want to do? Whoa, whoa. And I was just like, I'm going to do that video about verbiage. Now, I know that's a random thing because it doesn't really have bearing on it, but I was like, people nowadays, they don't, I don't know, man. I feel like back in the days, people conducted themselves way different. And there weren't even cameras around. I mean, you could have carried one of those big camcorders, but everybody's like, just about those news, local news. What's he doing, right? But there weren't people running around with cameras, and people still conducted themselves better. You got cameras everywhere now, and the things people say and do is just, I mean, it's good for content creators, all right. Now, let's talk about prison, because Hollywood likes to depict things a certain way. And there's certain content creators that haven't been around anywhere near the things that they talk about, right? They've heard it third or fourth hand, and so they put all the salsa on it. Each group is different, right? But I think the raza pretty much apply the same thing across the board. You could be the baddest dude on the planet. If you're running with the raza behind the walls here in California, you could be the baddest dude with your hands, whatever. You just a bad dude, right? You're just your homie. And then you get a guy that comes in, and he's a homie. And he's more quiet, more of an introvert. Doesn't have a reputation as being the baddest dude on the planet. And yet they're both going to be treated, as far as when you engage with them, the same. Because everyone's equal. Or at least that's the plan. That's the program. Everyone's equal. Ain't no bullying allowed, right? Behind the walls, you aren't going to hear anybody. Like, I'll give you an example, good example. Hey, what's up, dog? You're not going to hear that. Because of the bulldogs. The Southerners aren't going to call each other dog. Northerners aren't going to call each other dog. Because there are dogs behind the wall. Fresno bulldogs, right? People most of you guys that watch my videos, you already know. People say I talk slow because I think about what I'm going to say. It should be very important for you to think about what you say and not just blurt things out, because behind those walls, if you're in front of the wrong person and you're talking foolish, that's the first impression you gave that man. And I've said this in a bunch of videos. For the rest of your prison career, that's who you are to that man. And if that man is somebody, that's not a good thing. I'm telling you, when they used to have everybody slam down and Guy could be in the shoe, and you know your homeboy, you talked foolishly in front of him, didn't realize what you were doing, and your homeboy wasn't there, doesn't know. You're on a yard, and you know the guy that has say so asks, "Hey, you got anybody over there? You got any camaradas you could trust over there in whoop whoop yard?" Oh yeah, you know what? I got my homeboy. Hey, who's that? And they say your name, and they say, "Is it that stupid vato I met?" It's a fact. It's just a fact. You only get one chance at a first impression, right? You know, I've gotten into the bad habit being out here of using the word fool. If you're gonna use that word behind the walls, you're gonna use that word with somebody you're cool with. You're not gonna be telling you meet somebody, hey, what's up, fool? Fool? Hey, who are you? You just get somewhere and you don't know where you're at and who you're around, and you call somebody a fool, you might be treated like a fool, right? Another thing you're never gonna hear in there, even playfully, fuck you. There's certain things that you're just not gonna do and say, right? Prison is the most respectful place as far as your interactions, right? Your daily interactions with people. It's the most respectful place you would ever be. People are gonna say good morning, buenas tardes, how you doing? Excuse me, thank you. Right? I mean, none of that is frowned upon. None of that is looked at as being unmanly. That's showing respect. You're dealing with men that have taken lives and been involved in serious acts of violence. You never judge a book by the cover behind those walls. There's guys that you'll run across and you won't even look twice, like, and somebody will tell you, you know who that vato is? Nah. And then they tell you, like, what the fuck? Because you heard about him. You heard the things he's done. I think that there are some lessons you learn in prison that would adapt well out here. And the main thing to me is the way people talk to each other. The personal interactions. People have asked me, hey, what was the hardest thing for you to adjust to when you got out? And I've always said the disrespect. See, people out here don't realize they're being disrespectful. They're just living their life. They're focused on doing what they got to do, focused on doing what they want to do. Whereas when you're behind the walls, like I said, everything's going to be very respectful. I'll tell you one thing that you won't have happen in prison unless it's really for reals. You could be walking the track, right? Or you could be walking across the day room. You will never hear anybody running up behind you. That's go time. If you're walking down the tier and you hear somebody running up behind you, you're turning around. It's go time. And I remember when I paroled, I had probably been out maybe 6 months. I used to do deliveries while I was doing my apprenticeship, right? I used to do deliveries. And I was walking through the mall to go pick something up, right? And I hear the footsteps running up on me from behind. I spun around, and it was a kid, probably like 11 years old. Damn near smacked him, because it was instinct. You know, going to the grocery store when I first got out, seeing the way people just like cut in front of you with their carts, or you're about to reach for something and they'll just reach over and grab it, and it's just like, there's no, I can't say no. There's not a lot of like good mornings, how you doing? And it seems like when I tell people that, it throws them off. They enjoy it, seems like. But anyways, in prison, I just wanted to, because the homie asked me to do the video, because I think there's a lot of times you see these prison movies or you see prison scenes in a television show, and you got the guy that talks bad to everyone. Don't get me wrong, there are some in there that do that. And in certain situations, it's going to be what it's going to be. And that's when you're dealing with one of the legends, and maybe you brought some heat upon yourself, and if you're lucky, you wind up with a verbal tongue lashing, right? But other than that, every time you interact with somebody, you're dealing with another man, and you're going to treat him as such, and he's going to treat you as such. That's just like in dealing with other races. If I had to go and discuss an issue with, let's say, the Crips, there's not going to be any cuss words from me or them. That's, you start cussing, they say, hold up, man, what are we doing here? We're going to be disrespecting each other or what? I do know personally of an incident where a guy I knew, he was funny. He will roast the dog shit out of you. He was in the shoe in the bay, and there was somebody in the pod that was a somebody. And he told this dude, hey, how come you never clown with me? I see you clown with everybody else, but not with me. And he's like, nah, I'm good. Well, he egged him on. And the homie started clowning back with them. When the homie left, he didn't realize he had made an enemy. Luckily, he made it through. But he had made a real life enemy right there. And so, I don't want to keep talking too much about it. You know, this is for me a long ass video. But I would just like to encourage people to, when you have an interaction with somebody, use kind words. Use respectful words. When you're driving, that's what drives me the craziest. Driving. Why can't you just let somebody in the lane? I do. Everybody's trying to get wherever they had to go 1 second sooner. So they ain't going to let that car in. Ugh. Anyways, that's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.